Normally when you're laying block, you have to kind of freehand lay up the corners, and then once you do that and you've plumbed them and leveled them, you can pull a string line between the two corners to fill in the middle part. This works really well for short walls, but when you want to go up to 8 feet or higher, you can tend to get out of plumb with your corners, and that means it'll be leaning in or out, and when you get to the top, your foundation won't be square. Now, one great alternative to that is these speed lead corners, which are basically metal poles that are braced plumb on the corners. Once they're braced and marked, you can run a string line between them, pull it tight, and you can lay your block work without having to freehand corners, giving you a perfectly level foundation all the way up. Basically, this is going to save us from having to lay any block corners to pull our string lines off of. It will also save us time because we will set the elevations of each of our block rows with a mark on each pole, so we don't have to spend time shooting grade. Now, this method is most helpful on a tall foundation like a basement. We're going to be setting up for 14 courses of block on the job today. Materials you're going to need here is some 2x4 16-footers for bracing, and then we've got a 2-inch by 3/16 steel square tubing, and that'll be our actual pole that stands vertical, and those are about $50 each, and we're going to be using some small C-clamps to attach the braces to the top of that pole. First thing we've done here is establish our corner of our foundation with this string line right here. Then we've attached this block to the foundation with some ramset nails, 2 of them, and that's going to hold. Let me get this block out of the way. These two blocks that we've cut are going to hold the corner of this pole right on the corner of where our foundation is, right on the string line. It's going to sandwich it in there, and then we're going to go up top here and brace the top. Now I'm going to take these little C-clamps right here, and we're going to clamp a brace to the outside edge of this pole right here. Make sure it doesn't run past here, because I'm going to put another brace in this direction. Okay, that feels good. There's a better look at what I've got here. I've got it clamped to the inside and to the outside of that 2x4. Now we're going to drive a stake in the ground to secure the other end of this. Now that we've got a stake down that end, I'm going to level this pole this direction. Okay, right there. Still good? Now I'm going to clamp this brace on going the opposite direction. Okay. And we'll drive another stake and level the pole. Pole looks plumb. Okay, we've got all of our poles set here. Looks kind of crazy, but that'll get us somewhere to hook our string lines on. Next step is to establish a reference mark of elevation using our laser level. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We have our laser level set up here, and I've got my reader. We're going to go around to each pole and make a reference mark exactly level on every pole. All right, there's the spot, and right there we've got our red reference mark, and I'm going to go around and make that on all the poles. Let's walk over here. There's our mark, reference mark. So each of those marks is exactly level all the way around this foundation. See that this reference marks about 48.5 inches off of the concrete footer. Now we're going to drop down and make the actual marks that we're going to hook our string line to. That was 48 1/2 off the footer, and 48 inches would be block work. So I'm dropped down 1/2 inch from that, and then if I go to that mark, I'm going to mark 8-inch increments up and down this whole pole. On each pole, now I know that on all my poles, all of my marks at 8-inch increments will be exactly level with one another across this whole foundation. Now that we have our marks, we're just going to hook these string blocks right on each line, and that'll give us the exact location of the height of each row of block and also a straight line to lay the block to. Super easy. And there's the other end of this, and you can see how we've hooked it on the inside edge of this pole, which would be the outside edge of the block. And that's all the way down through here, pulled tight, very tight. And now we're ready to lay our first row of block to that string line. No corners required. So now we got our string lines up, we're ready to start laying block. We're gonna move our string line up an 8-inch increment on each row that we already have marked on each pole. So it's gonna be super easy to keep this whole foundation level and even and straight as it goes up. You could actually just wrap this string around instead of using a string block, as long as you keep it tight enough. All right, now we're just gonna lay this block to the string line and tap it level. Use our bubble here, get the block level, get it right on that string line. That's it. All right, here's the real beauty of this system here. You have to pull them both at the same time there. Time for a new row. All we're gonna do is just pull these up to our next mark right there. And we're ready to lay again. So on previous foundations, we've come out within a 32nd of an inch of level across the entire foundation, which is awesome because now we can build a house on a nice level square foundation, which is faster and